Questa che stai vedendo è una comune bottiglia di plastica, neanche tra le più belle. Tra pochi giorni si unirà al Great Pacific Garbage Patch, l'isola di plastica nell'Oceano Pacifico tra San Francisco e le isole Hawaii, che è grande 1,5 milioni di chilometri quadrati, circa 3 volte la dimensione della Francia. Il viaggio della nostra bottiglia non comincia però in mare, ma in un villaggio sul fiume Gange in India. Insieme a lei il 90% della plastica presente oggi in mare deriva da solo 10 fiumi. Sono i più inquinati al mondo. Mi chiamo Alex Bellini, sono un avventuriero e un esploratore e con la mia prossima spedizione voglio intraprendere lo stesso viaggio che ogni anno compiono milioni di pezzi di plastica e come loro mi unirò al Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Inizierò navigando sui 10 fiumi più inquinati della Terra con una zattera che costruirò con materiali riciclati. Ti chiederai perché lo fai? Lo faccio perché voglio contribuire a smuovere le coscienze, perché ancora oggi molta gente non conosce l'enormità del problema, o forse lo ignora. Perché se non facciamo nulla, le previsioni affermano che entro il 2050 la plastica potrebbe pesare più di tutte le specie marine che lo popolano. Non è solo un problema ecologico o economico, è un problema di salute, della salute di tutti. Lo faccio perché siamo i soli responsabili e gli unici che possono fare qualcosa. Lo faccio perché non esiste un Planet B. Certo, non è facile. Ci capita di essere così tanto immersi nei problemi da non riuscire neanche a immaginare un rimedio. Nella mia avventura mi allontanerò dal cuore del dramma della plastica per cercare una soluzione che può arrivare solo osservando da lontano il nostro unico grande oceano.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful introduction. Very, very grateful. My name is Alex Bellini, and the video you've just seen is the trailer that I've used for many, many months to present the world my current project, which is about navigating the 10 most polluted rivers in the world with the attempt of raising awareness, awaken the spirits of human beings around the problem of plastic pollution. And try with this attempt to make people understanding that it's not a matter of us and them, but quite the contrary is our problem. Because when we face such a current problem, we have to make the us more inclusive and try to see much more ahead than we normally are used to do. And this video expresses quite well the reason why I believe that Keep Exploring is still, again here in 2018, a crucial activity, a vital activity for our health and for the future ahead. Because now we came to a point in this long journey as a species on this planet Earth in which we are facing very unprecedented challenges. So we have to update our toolkit, the toolkit we are carrying on our daily life. Because what we are asking now is to try to make sense of what is happening, and definitely something that has never happened before. So we have to find new way to make sense of the world. We need to make and to find answer to questions that we have never asked before. And one of these answer, or one of this question actually, is becoming the number one priority for everyone. I mean, of course, it should be the number one priority. And the question is, how can we live in this world in a more sustainable way? In other words, we have to move from a profit-oriented approach to business to an approach which is much more inclusive, more respectful for the environment, in the attempt to include the natural environment into the stakeholder process management. But taken in general, keep exploring, the invitation to explore with the curiosity and to step into uncharted territory is something very, very important right now. Because take a moment to look around and you will see, digital transformation which is making the business different. You have to face a competition which is becoming more and more aggressive. And also, the globalization is putting all together, these three factors and many, many more, are coming together to make the business environment much more uncertain and volatile. And uncertainty and volatility are, with no doubt, two of the most common factors or situations that any explorer would face in his activity. So let's try to get inspired by the life of an explorer. Because nowadays, the activity or the mindset, someone has called the exploration mindset, or the mindset of an explorer, is becoming more and more important. At the age of 20, I was studying financing and banking here in Milan. But after 3 years of studying, I was not totally convinced of my path I've chosen in my life. I knew there was a special place for me in the world. But banking and financing was not my special place. And another thing is that I knew that I was not meant to become an expert or a great guru in the financing world. So I did what I thought it was the best option, to go back to nature and try to reconnect with nature. And what I find out is that by reconnecting to nature, I started being reconnected to myself. After 2 or 3 years of traveling in Sahara Desert first, and then in the polar region of Alaska, I fall in love with the ocean. And this will be a surprise to you, because my background is not from the seaside. I come from a small mountain town in the region of Lombardia, about 200 kilometers from here. So not even if I climb up the highest mountain in my region, I could see the ocean at the horizon. But somehow, I fall in love with the ocean. And so in 2004, I did my first attempt of rowing across the Atlantic Ocean in a small rowing boat, with the attempt of rowing across the Mediterranean Sea and then the Atlantic Ocean. This dream was a great dream. And for some of the people around me back then, it was a crazy dream, especially because I didn't have knowledge. You've never been in an ocean before. You're right. You've never rowed a rowing boat. You're right. So how can you think this will be possible? Well, I didn't know. But I had a voice down here next to my heart that was encouraging me. I knew that this challenge was my cup of tea. This was the best decision I could make in my life. But life is not always a straight journey from point A to point B. In fact, my life is not an exception. In 2004, I made 2 attempts of rowing across the Atlantic Ocean. The first attempt failed after 6 hours. I know you will make laugh because I was not able even to go farther from Genova, farther from them 1 mile. After 6 hours, I was calling for help, and I could see the people beside me and facing me, and they were in totally disbelief. How can you make this happen? I need help because I was not able to exit the Gulf of Genova. I kept courage, I kept faith, and after 11 days, I started off again. If in the first attempt, I gathered together 1,000 people clapping their hands or cheering me or giving me courage and encouragement, in the second attempt, I chose to be amongst other 4 people. I said, okay, let's do it smaller. Let's try to fail small. Some people will say small, fail fast as fail small. I definitely choose it for the second one. So I decided to set off again from Genova, and this second attempt went a little bit better, but not much better, just a little bit better. I rowed for 23 days. I succeeded in rowing across the Gulf of Lion, which was one of the highest and the riskiest place on earth to be rowing. But after 23 days, the problem was just ahead. And on the day of my 23rd days, I got a shipwreck in Formentera Island. And the first person got to me and to rescue me, he told me, well, you are the first Italian coming to Formentera in winter. Why don't you, for the next time, why don't you come a little bit earlier in the season so you will be amongst many other Italian people? Well, okay, next time I will be much earlier in the season. The day I got a phone call from my father, who asked me, "Are you okay? Are you injured?" "No, Dad, I'm fine. But my boat is wrecked. It's totally destroyed." And he said, "Don't worry. Come over home, and we will be building another boat again. I will help you to build another boat." Then the story went there. We didn't build actually the boat together because it was, someone else's problem or someone else's activity. But in that moment, I started to realize that what started off as a one-man challenge, it was becoming a team challenge. I got my father behind me. And many other people got behind me and next to me. And soon, in 2005, we started off for the third attempt, again from Genova, with a new boat, a new team. I knew that I wanted to row the ocean. I had this dream, and this dream had me. I couldn't stop from thinking about how can I make this possible. How can I row across an ocean? How can I prevent from failing again? How can I survive from this? And so all the explorer mindset started working. I knew solution. I knew that the attitude was right, but I need to prove it. And the only way to prove I was right, it was trying again. And from this attempt, from this third attempt, I definitely learned one lesson: to persevere in the face of adversity. I had 2 options: either go home and go back to my mountain house and do, anything, or keep trying, keep being open to find solution to the most important question: how can I make this adventure, not only possible, but safe. So in 2005, I started off from Genova again with a new boat. And I finally succeeded after 227 days of rowing, again from Genova to Brazil. And this 7 months and a half long journey, I got a lot of challenge under my belt. After 6 months, I ran out of food, for example. And for those who's wondering, Amazon didn't deliver any food in the middle of the ocean, I'm afraid. I was alone, I was running out of food, and I was starting being doubtful about being able to get to Fortaleza. Back then, again, I was trying to make sense of what was happening. How can I possibly go back home? And so one day, I soon realized that my superpower was not just rowing. My superpower was not my mindset. My superpower was not the strength in my arms. My superpower was the team that was actually allowing me to row across the ocean. So I called my team and I asked for help. And they gave me help. And they gave me support, psychological support. They gave me, again, this sense that I was not alone in front of this big challenge. I was among a group of people committed to the same goal. I asked them for help. How can I find food? And I said, okay, just wait a second. They hung up the phone, they called, few boats around, and after an hour, they called me back saying, we found a solution. In 3 days, you will get a big boat coming over you, and they will deliver some food for you. And that was happened. After 3 days, I got a Norwegian big boat carrying containers, and they delivered to me 100 kilograms of food. Everything seems to be fine. I had my adventures ahead. I could keep rowing. But after 18 days, I was again in deep shit because the food was over for the second time. And after a moment of doubt, I said, how can I tell my team that I ran out of food again? And so I called them, please don't ask me why, but I'm still out of food. I need your help again. And they said me, out of the blue, well, we made the miracle one time. Now it's your turn to make the miracle. How can I make the miracle without food? Well, there is a small archipelago in the middle of the Atlantic. It's about 60 miles from where you are right now. And the only thing you have to do is just rowing. Keep rowing until you get to this archipelago. And I didn't know where this archipelago was because my map was not showing this archipelago. And so they guided me through this 5 days horrible journey. And I eventually got to this archipelago where I've been rescued by 4 scientists. At first, they didn't believe that. They couldn't believe the story I was telling them. Why are you here? Well, because I want to row, rowing across an ocean. Oh, you're totally crazy. I was totally crazy. But then they supported me. They gave me food. And after 4 days, they allowed me to go. I waved them goodbye, and I continue my challenge across the Atlantic Ocean. From this adventure, from this little experience in the Mediterranean Sea, I just learned how to be humble, to ask for help. Because we all have people around us willing to help us. But as long as we don't ask for help, they might be staying, one step back and don't provide it for help. And even though sometimes you need to be very humble to ask for help, because we, as an adventurer, but I guess many of you will agree. We have this kind of, attitude, machismo attitude. I can do attitude. And then we fail on understanding that we need someone else around us. No man is an island, I say to people. No man is an island. Everyone, even though it's, a one-man challenge, is part of a bigger country, as part of a continent, a group of people who is allowing us to go forward. Just like the tip of an iceberg. I love iceberg. And maybe later in the dinner tonight, I will tell you why I'm in love with iceberg. But just like iceberg, we are a tiny fraction of a bigger volume, which is allowing us to stay with the water above. So in 2005, as I said, it was this May 2nd, 2006, I succeeded in reaching Fortaleza. And this adventure definitely taught me how to pushing the limits, but with moderation. Because sometimes when you push the limits, you fail to understand that there are some limits that you have to acknowledge. You have to acknowledge the fact that some limits you cannot push some limits. Other limits are meant to be pushed. And this is a part of the wisdom that we all have to create and to develop. This is the video I want to show you, showing you the last few minutes of my rowing across the Atlantic Ocean.
Ho vinto io!
Ci siamo ragazzi, le ultime 200 pagaiate.
Cristo Santo!
Sentida por nós, exatamos nós, sabemos agora, nem tudo que é bom vem de fora, é a nossa canção, pelas ruas e bares que...
That was one of the most beautiful moments in my life. I succeeded, I achieved the goal that I was dreaming of for many, many years. And so I want also to tell you more about the life of an explorer, because just like everyone else's life, the life of an explorer is made of highest peak and depressing trough. Just like the roller coaster, you move from up and down, and someday you feel great, you feel powerful, you know the answer, nothing can stop you. And so you start dreaming bigger and bigger. But then, the day after, you are back on your knees, you pray God to hand you a rope or hand you a hand, and you started doubting about your own expectation, your own sense of self-efficacy. You basically don't know how to start from, because you have raised the bar higher and higher, and now you're asking someone to come and pick you up. But sometimes this line is so far away. So the only way you have to do is to carry on. Carry on.
Io ho bisogno di aiuto da qualcuno su lì. Non ce la faccio da solo. Tutti sti mesi per niente. Io sono anche stanco, io voglio tornare a casa, voglio stare sul divano steso con mia moglie, vicino a lei, e non passare la vita qui da solo. Che quello che voglio è a casa, non è qui in mezzo. Pronto? Lo so che ce la posso fare, ma in questo momento è difficile. Non so veramente dove sbattere la testa. E adesso io ce la sto mettendo tutta, ma qui non scendo neanche di 1 metro verso sud.
That was about 7 months into my second big rowing challenge from Lima, from Peru, to Australia in 2008. I was rowing for 7 months by then. And then all of a sudden I started asking what I'm doing here, why I'm here. There was another factor beside this. It was that I started to notice that what I've learned in this first part of the adventure was not enough to take me to the other side of the ocean. It was as if I was becoming an expert on something, but then the life was asking me to change, was asking me to update my strategy. And the ocean was becoming different from what I was expecting. So on the one side, I don't know whether you have ever got this same feeling. The more you become expert, the less willing you are to change. It seems to be a contradiction, isn't it? So I rowed for 7 months, and then the life was asking me to change. Why should I change? The strategy that brought me here was successful. So why should I carry on with this process? But then life changed. The ocean was changing. The ocean, the sea, the winds, the currents was asking me to change. And I was not ready to change. I was holding on my security, of my status quo, on my sense of knowledge. And on the other side, I was literally, I was losing the sense of purpose, the sense of why I'm doing here, what the hell I'm doing here. I want to go home. I want to stay next to my wife. Because in life, there are things much more important than just rowing. And then out of the blue, and for the big stroke of luck, I got a phone call from my wife. And he is amongst the audience tonight. And she said, "What's going on, Alex?" "Well, Francesca, I don't know where to turn my head. I don't know why I'm here." And when you don't know what you're doing here right now, how can you put energy into your activity? If you lose the faith for the future, how can you be impactful right now? And that was the thing that we all can learn from this. When we lack from direction, when we lack of meaning in life, and we feel the sense of emptiness, there is nothing can help us. If we want to move forward, if we want to raise the bar, if we want to carry on doing what we are doing, make sure you know why you're doing it. Because sooner or later, you may find this situation. Either you have someone next to you on your team, your family, your group of people, your group of friends, helping you to rediscover the reason why. And she asked me, "Why are you rowing this ocean?" And I said, "Well, Francesca, I here because I want to row the ocean." And she said, "No, this is what you are doing. But why are you rowing the ocean?" And she helped me with the answer, because you want to know yourself. That was true. My dream was not rowing. It was knowing myself a little bit better through exploration,
And so she helped me very much in rediscovering the sense of purpose. And once I got this clear in my mind, I became the most powerful man I ever knew in my life.
Ancora! Ancora! Che non basta, sai? Non basta!
I was so incredibly down there. I was powerful. I rediscovered the sense of purpose, and that feeling raised bigger and bigger in my heart, and nothing could stop me by then. That helped me to understand, to recover from stressful situation and to stay strong in face of adversity. So here again, we are facing unprecedented situation. We are all immersed in a VUCA world. And I guess some of you know what I'm talking about. VUCA is an acronym that stands for uncertainty, volatility, complexity, and ambiguity. And in this such a world, we have to make sure we acknowledge the difference between what you can control and what you cannot control. Of course, you cannot control the speed of the ocean or the power of the sea, the currents. You cannot control the birds flying over your head or the fishing swimming beneath the water. You can control instead your belief, your mindset, your attitude. And whatever happens to your life, you can always decide what attitude to use in your daily life. And this is probably one of the most important lessons I've learned. But above all, I learned to interact with nature. And this is something that we as a species, we are losing. We are losing the contact with nature. And the more we walk this path away from the nature, the bigger the problem we are facing will become. Because we have our world in our hands, but sometimes we live as if we have the world, the planet, down on our feet. And from the perspective of an adventurer and explorer, this is becoming more and more important to solve. So this is why I decided to take on a new challenge, to take all the people with me walking the path of this reconnection with nature, doing what I do the most, which is exploring, and try to make people more aware of the plastic problem. Because amongst other problems, of course, we are facing climate change and desertification, acidity in the water. But plastic pollution is the materialization of an approach to life, which is driven by convenience and by some short-sighted decision-making. Few people will know that 80% of the plastic polluting the ocean is coming from the river. And so the idea is to go back to the river, trying to find out how to make this world a little bit more sustainable and how to live a more sustainable life. And so the idea is to, again, as I said, follow the journey of a plastic bottle that is thrown into the Ganges water and flowing through the river goes into the big trash in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. In fact, in 20 days, I will be rowing with my rowing boats across the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. We have, as a species, and now I'm gonna to conclude my talk, we have to work hard in order to recreate a sense of direction. We have to create a new enlightenment and the courage of giving birth to a new enlightenment.
in which we can include the nature in this new way of doing business. A business that has to be, and I'm very enthusiastic about this because now I'm talking in front of you and you are holding, some leading position in your business. I'm amongst a very leading community of entrepreneurs or professionals. And this problem is crucial to us. We need to find balance between forces around us, nature and capital, natural resources and financial resources. We need to find balance between growth and stability, or between speed and stability. This is why I think that keep exploring is worth it. Thank you very much.
Alex, fascinating,
Thank you.
very fascinating story, and thank you for.
Thank you. Sorry if I run out of time.
No problem.
Sorry, I was so
you have all
keen
the
on
time you need.
sharing.
I think we have all the time you need,
Thank you.
we need for this topic.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, you stay here.
Yeah, I'm staying here.
No,
Okay,
you stay
okay.
here, because I'm sure there are questions in the room for Alex. I don't see hands. Maybe I can break the ice a bit with a couple of
Good idea.
considerations, and maybe somebody thinks otherwise. I pick somebody in the room. So, actually, when I remember what I wrote down some words, I think this, and clearly I don't want to compare it at all, but some of the words that you mentioned are, to me, a lot of learning for us as well. Because when I read perseverance, I think this is important for us in our daily job or activities. Perseverance in difficulties. I call the team. I think you're remembering that this is a team effort. It's not Alex alone, but it's a team effort. Be humble. It's another big learning in my view every day. I think it's always better to be humble, and then when you eventually reach Fortaleza, you can enjoy as you did. But before doing that, I mean, just first go there. Pushing the limits and pushing the boundaries. This is also learning. I think you learn pushing the boundaries, and I think we in the everyday, we should force our limits as well in our ideas, in our project, think different, out of the box. I think these are learnings in my view for us as well. The sense of purpose. You are doing something for a sense of purpose. More and more we are talking purpose also in our companies. The purpose was more and more is moving people and is moving companies. And I think I'm somehow got a lot of good learning, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
The question is, though, I didn't realize, and sorry for that, how the business model works somehow. So you do this, and then how is the contribution to, or you want just to raise the sensibility on this topic, or are you somehow collecting money, or are people, I mean, how does the business model work?
Well, the business model,
to bring a contribution that is pragmatic and concrete to this.
Yeah, of course. This activity, maybe you will be surprised to know, but is just following the same rules of business model as many companies in the world. We definitely have to make sure that my business, my work is self-sustainable, so it has to raise money from sponsors or donors.
This is clear.
But then on the other hand, beyond that, what I like to do is to join forces with ONG or other organization with the attempt of raising money and to give back to people less privileged than I do. For example, in the two attempts of rowing across the Atlantic Ocean and in the Pacific Ocean, I joined forces with some two different NGO, and we raise money from individuals and from sponsors, and at the end of the journey we gave back to local projects for a better future for the people I'm about to meet. And in general, what I like to do is be part of, a way to awaken us, a way of to raise awareness. And this is another way of giving back. Because there is no surprise that the most committed to environment is those who travel the environment. I, as an example, I'm an explorer, and I consider the world, the natural world, as the greatest, amusement park in the world. So I want to make sure that this stays safe in order to make my two daughters, having them the same chance, and many other people around us. I think that raising this kind of awareness and giving people chance to understand that we are part of the nature is another way of giving back.
Interesting. Any question? Yeah, here. Can you get a mic, please? Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Just curious to know, in this last trip that you showed us when you got to Brazil, who were your sponsors and how large was the team?
Well, my sponsor was an Italian company called Grafoplast, and there was another company called Findomestic that you may be more aware of, and he's a French bank, still a French bank, right?
I think it's BNP, yeah.
Yeah, BNP Paribas, exactly. And the day I landed in Fortaleza, there were a few people around us. There was my sponsor, two sponsors, two representatives of my two sponsors, one good friend of mine, and then there was my dad. And my dad, 2 days later, he shared with me something that I was very, touched by this. And he said, the day you set off from Genova the first time, I thought that was the last day I was seeing you alive.
Wow.
And so after 2 years, he shared with me these thoughts, and I kind of understand the courage that he had to embrace, to let me go, let me explore, let me experience the life in front of me. Now I'm father of 2 daughters, and I kind of understand, what was saying, and the courage that you need to get in order to get, your son or daughters grow. Because sometimes growing means, facing obstacles,
yeah.
And we definitely have to. Do
There
that.
is something. No? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
First off, thanks a lot for your
Can you
very
say your name
inspiring
and your class
speech.
so that we? Can you say please your name and your class so that we know you are, please?
I'm Stéphane Dufresne. I'm in the husband class of 2014.
Welcome.
Good.
You need to look at that. Go ahead.
So you're facing some very big challenges during your life, and it's much bigger than most of the challenges that I'm facing because I never put my life into jeopardy. But there is one which you master like amazingly, is you go out for seven months on a, let's say, business trip, and your wife is asking you to stay. When I go for 3 days, it's a disaster. So could you please give me some tip on this, and how do you manage work-life balance?
In private, I can share with you my wife's phone number, and then you share this to your wife.
You swap.
Yeah, my
Experiences.
superpower is my wife. The superpower is knowing that whatever happens to my life.
Yeah, exactly. We need recognition for the wife as well. I agree.
But above all, my superpower, and the thing that makes me happy, no matter what happens to me, is that whatever happens, either a failure or a success, because I didn't share with you the biggest failure to me, but maybe I will tell you more about that later on, is that whatever happens, I know that by the time I get back home, I have someone who can support me, and she always next to me, by my side. And of course, in difficult moments, I know she can be a reliable figure. I can ask for help. That's my superpower. Thanks.
There is a question in the back.
Did I answer your question?
In the back.
Alex, thank you very much. Kerim from MBA 34. Great presentation. I have a newborn, 6 months, and we now recently got involved in plastic, understanding whether plastic bottled water, so my wife is going crazy about it now. So we bumped into a research from University of Victoria that an individual daily almost swallows a credit card size of plastic every day through bottled water or mainly through seafood, which I don't know if it's true or not. These nanoparticles through friction gets involved in bottled water, etc. So there's been an awareness in my own family and now also with your cause and with many others raising this issue. It's becoming a particular subject. So could you also share what can we do as individuals, without any big, dreams apart from supporting your cause or sharing this video on Facebook? What can we do in our households in order to support your cause with very small steps that we can apply in our daily lives?
Well, there are many very basic activities or new habits that we can take on in order to minimize the impact of our life, because we definitely gonna agree upon this. We all are impactful somehow. So the first idea is to try to make sure that we always know we have a choice. We can choose every single day. We can choose either to take this path or the other path. Of course, plastic is perfect from many perspectives, but is horribly imperfect from an ecological point of view. Get rid of the plastic is the first, I think, crucial thing we can do. Of course, we know that plastic sometimes is important, and not only important, but it cannot be swapped with something else. But for many single-use activity, we can definitely find new way of doing. For example, every time we go to the grocery store or to do shopping, rather than with the mindset of a ecological aware man or woman who collect the grocery, then go back home and do put the plastic in this bin, put the glass in this bin, and whatever else in the other bin. We can differentiate our grocery. We can pick company. We can pick company who is more sustainable. We can definitely make an impact on this, rather than just doing randomly, grocery. We can become more aware in terms of habits when it comes to buying grocery, because we all live a very distracted life. And when it comes to grocery, when it comes to buying habits, we are definitely distracted, and we collect the first thing at hand, rather than doing a decision based on some values, just like environmental responsible habits. Then another thing is that take on new habits, just like walking with a water bottle, which is not made out of plastic, but maybe out of other materials, more sustainable. Or again, be part of the community and try to redefine the idea of sustainability. Nowadays, sustainability seems to be it's an old-fashioned approach, because it's not enough to harm less. It's not enough to waste or to do less. We need to, regenerate, and by regeneration means doing practical activity in order to regenerate, in order to help the environment to grow again.
I mean, something simple that, for example, we do, but I don't know what is possible in your companies, but in BCG, we have eliminated the plastic bottles, so you can't drink anymore through plastic bottles. This is something that you probably are doing now.
I think that every one of you is part of a bigger community.
It's maybe something small.
For example, this can be another point to start from. Try to, to eliminate, to get rid of the single-use plastic, either in the coffee machine or in your office. What we have to understand and never forget is the power of single activity, single action. Because it's very easy to be discouraged in front of this atrocity, when it comes to global crisis. Because you stop and think, do I really believe I can make a change just by buying a water bottle instead of plastic bottle? It is. We have to keep faith. We have to, keep this courage alive, first. And second, we all know what we need to do. We always, keep the courage of doing the right thing and not the easiest thing. And this is, I think, another good idea,
Thank you very much to Alex Bellini for coming tonight. Thank you for spending time around. It was really great. Appreciate it.